In the early 1900s, the automobile was a status symbol, a loud, expensive toy reserved exclusively for the wealthy. If you saw a car rattling down a dirt road in 1908, you knew the driver was rich. This was because building a car was a slow, agonizing process. Teams of skilled craftsmen would stand around a single stationary chassis, fetching parts and fitting them one by one. It took over 12 hours to assemble a single vehicle. Henry Ford looked at this system and saw a failure. He didn't just want to build a car, he wanted to build a car for everyone. But to do that, he had to make them cheap, and to make them cheap, he had to build them fast. Ford's team found inspiration in an unlikely place, the meatpacking plants of Chicago. They watched as butchers stood still while overhead trolleys moved carcasses past them for this assembly. Ford asked the billion-dollar question: if moving the product to the worker worked for cutting meat, why wouldn't it work for assembling cars? On December 1st, 1913, at his Highland Park plant in Michigan, Ford flipped the switch on the world's first moving assembly line. It was a chaotic, beautiful experiment. Instead of men walking to the car came to the men. A winch and rope pulled the chassis along the floor. Workers stood at designated stations performing the same simple task over and over as the vehicle drifted past. One man put on a wheel, the next tightened the bolts, the next installed the steering wheel. The results were instantaneous and shocking. The time it took to build a Model T dropped from 12 hours and 8 minutes to just 90 minutes. This efficiency changed everything. Because Ford could build cars faster, he could sell them cheaper. The price of the Model T plummeted from $850 to eventually less than $300, but Ford had one more revolution up his sleeve. The work on the assembly line was monotonous and hard. Turnover was high, so Ford did something unheard of. He doubled his workers' wages to $5 a day and cut their shift to 8 hours. Wall Street called him crazy, but it was a masterstroke. By paying his workers a high wage, he turned them into customers. Suddenly, the very people tightening the bolts could afford to drive the finished product home. This wasn't just a manufacturing breakthrough, it was the birth of the American middle class. Henry Ford proved that mass production wasn't just about machines, it was about creating an economy where the average American could enjoy the fruits of their own labor.